Are we going to start a podcast or not so live drinking?
That's right. It's reminding everybody to hydrate. Everybody should have at least a beverage, if not 3. Krystyn and her 3 beverages.
I literally roll in. I sat down to breakfast the Snowmageddon day, Sunday, and I had 4 drinks.
What were they?
I had coffee, I had tea, I had water, and weirdly right now we have orange juice, which we never, like the only time I buy orange juice is for mimosas.
Mm-hmm. Coffee and tea.
I did. Well, I had throat coat tea, so not
Somebody
caffeine.
was giving that away locally down here the other day on the mom's site.
I love it so much. I recommend it to all my students.
It's a good product.
It is so good. Evie, she just turned the corner on it, and she's like, "Oh my god, it's so good." I'm like, "I've been telling you."
We have the one that you had recommended from Trader Joe's, the seasonal one, the fall seasonal one. It has like the little fox on it.
Yes.
And that is a solid tea right there.
Their winter wake up is also solid. One of my favorites.
Okay. I don't get to Trader Joe's as often as I would like.
You know, I got a pasta sauce there the other day. I was like, I just need to stop for like a couple of things, but it was right before the snowstorm hit.
Oh, yes. I wanted to see if you had success, what you ended up doing, because you were like, I have to get someone to deliver. And I was like, I think that's going to be very challenging.
Yeah, no, it was, I mean, I didn't even try to get an Instacart. Honestly, I just tried to get like a pickup at like Walmart or something. Because I was like, oh, we don't typically shop at Walmart because it's not convenient or close. But I was like, maybe I could just like one-stop shop everything there because they do have a decent gluten-free section.
Okay.
Like actually really good. But there was not like a pickup available for days.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm so congested. But I did end up getting this like roasted vegetable pasta sauce from Trader Joe's.
Oh yeah.
And it's in a very small container.
Okay.
Very small jar, but it was absolutely delicious. I made it last night.
Vegetables, huh?
Yeah, I'll send you the picture of the jar. It was great.
Yeah. I have some staples at Trader Joe's that, I also really like their skincare products and some of their beauty products. Very affordable. Their gel moisturizer, I freaking love so much.
Yeah, I got Evie their beauty advent calendar.
Oh yeah.
At the holidays. She loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a good store. 21 Seasoning Salute. Cannot go wrong.
Yeah, I'm a big Trader Joe's fan.
So, all right. We are pivoting from doing our live at the end of the month. If you are just tuning in to the podcast, once a month, at the end of the month, we go live on a platform. We're still trying to figure out what platform is the best platform for that. But we were supposed to be together because we have found that most platforms don't allow guests. And if they do, there's
1 million followers.
Yeah, exactly. There's just like stupid issues with it. So we were supposed to be together, and a snowstorm descended on pretty much like 3/4 of the country, and our kids, not so much the snowstorm, it's more the temperature. It was like -25 last night or something. So kids can't be out waiting for school buses in this extreme cold. So everyone has remote school today. So our theme of the day is how to pivot. How to pivot and tools around pivoting to make it enjoyable when I think a lot of people find it super stressful.
I'm okay with the pivot, honestly.
Me too.
I'm okay with it. It was funny last night. I was talking to Evie about, so she ended up going to a friend's house, and those psychos walked to her house. Charlie went and he was, get in the car. He was like, it's too cold, get in the car.
Yeah, no, it's
right.
It's intense. I mean, they tried to go outside and play in the snow, and I think they lasted maybe 15, 20 minutes. It's too much snow for Isla. Like, she can't walk easily in it.
Yeah. So we were talking about shows because they were going to get into a new show last night. And so on her list right now was, there was one that I don't remember. I think she said it was like maybe a fan fiction of Summer I Turned Pretty, Walter something. I don't remember. Stranger Things. And Friends was on her list, which I was like, oh, this is very interesting. So it made me think about Ross and the pivot moment with the couch in Friends.
Oh, is that when he's like, I'm fine?
No, when he's like, they're trying to move the couch and they're in the stairwell and he's like, pivot!
Yes. And then they get exhausted and it just like lives there.
Yeah, I don't remember how that. I wasn't a big Friends person.
I wasn't either. I'm not a like. I naturally I watched the show and I enjoyed it, but I don't have it memorized.
Same.
So I'm down in my home getting called right now from my children. One moment, caller.
Do you want me to mute you?
What's up? I can't hear you.
You guys, I just muted her. Oh, this is what happens when your kids are home and school's remote. We're just going to wait for Rach. The last time we tried to go live, I don't know if it was the last time or the time before, but she couldn't get on at all because we tried to do this. So I ended up going live on YouTube by myself for an hour. It was quite the experience. I was just talking to myself. She'll wait backwards. Oh, she's giving him the face. Unmute yourself. I muted you.
Okay, hello.
It let me mute you, but it wouldn't let me unmute you.
That's good to know. Yeah, we have one of those Alexas, so they can call my phone and drop in, and because we have 3 kids all starting at different times, which sounds interesting because 2 of them actually start school at the same time when they're in school, but Graham's will start at 10:45, like 15 minutes till. And why we also have a 2-hour delay, to your point yesterday, I have no fucking idea. Like I don't.
It's so weird. Why have a delay when you're remote?
I don't know. I don't know. I think it's because one of Emmeline's friends said yesterday that when you're remote, they don't need the full school day like they normally would, because what ours does, and I'm sure Evie's is the same, they'll have a class, but then you'll have breaks, and you don't have, like, they won't have band, they won't have gym, they won't have certain classes that they would have if they were in school. So I think it's too a lot for the time. Like, they wouldn't have lunch, even though they give them like a break during lunch,
I don't know.
It must have something to do with the time blocking.
Evie doesn't have any classes. She's just worked on her own. They give them, they give them
here
work.
Here comes another call.
They do it on their own.
That's just Kelsey. I'll call Kelsey back. I'll call her back.
It's like one of those shows, like, where you would have callers come in. Hi, caller. What do you have to say to 2 Mystic Mamas today?
Oh my gosh. We should bring that back. That's old school.
That would be hilarious.
And I think now the new thing is they have people call and leave messages, but then you can't actually like interact with the person, which I don't like as much. I think it'd be fun to like interact with the actual guests themselves. I mean, that's the whole point of our lives. At least that's our goal, is to get to a point where, you know, our fans and our listeners are coming in and interacting and talking with us, and that is a good time. That is a good time. So, okay. So back to just the pivot and what we were going to be talking about had we been together. So this is not a live, this is a recording, but it's raw. We're not editing it. So that, you know, that little blip where my kids called, that stays.
Yeah.
So
I did. Well, I muted you. I was like, oh, I don't know if this is going to go south.
But you never know with Isla. I mean, last night she was telling Jeff and I that she couldn't go on canvas until she had to make sure she was going to have her shoulder pads on.
What?
And I was like, what? And of course, Grant was like, are you a football player? I'm like, are you channeling your inner 80s? Do you need shoulder pads? Because she was saying how she needed to put a dress on. And she needed to have a dress with shoulder pads.
Right.
And then her teacher, I texted her teacher or messaged her teacher. I didn't text her teacher. And her teacher, I really like her teacher, but her teacher has ADHD and has opened up to me about some things. And she's like, I just want to teach them in real life. I don't have time for this nonsense. We had to take some remote learning class today, and I almost took a personal day. I was like, you know, it's hard. Isla's in kindergarten. My mom was shocked that Isla has remote school.
Right.
And here we are. 2026. So
I feel like, I don't know. I don't see as big of a deal with days like now, like today, and having to pivot and do something differently after 2020. Like, it just doesn't faze me.
No, nothing really compares to that.
And I feel so aligned in what I'm doing in my life and in my daily routines, and that I'm embracing any little bit of change that's kind of coming.
I agree. And I think change and being able to pivot really is protection, you know, and I'm a big believer in, if something is planned, because naturally we all like routines. We all like plans. It keeps things organized on some level. And yes, you can allow room for magic. You can allow room for adventure or spontaneity. But when you have a lot of balls that you're juggling, being organized does help, right? And I am a firm believer, though, that when things, especially with Mother Nature, arise, you just heed whatever is coming. And when Mother Nature decides to have a snowstorm and put everybody in their place for 2, 3, 4 days, take that for what it is. It's a gift, right?
Well, it's an opportunity to stop living on autopilot, because to your point, you know, a lot of us, I think, that have been in this kind of personal growth space for a while have been creating routines and rituals that feel very good. But there are certain parts of our lives that operate on autopilot, or there are people that are still just existing on autopilot and haven't started to curate that for themselves yet. So when you have something like this, it gives you an opportunity to stop and reflect and identify, like, okay, what do you want? What do you want from your day? You have an opportunity to engage with your kids in a new way and actually spend time with them.
Right.
What are you going to do? Like,
right.
And I was thinking about that because all of Evie's activities for the evening are canceled, which is like, and Charlie's. So we're all like, oh, we have a night to do something. What do we want to do? And I think that these are like all life lessons. I think if we morph ourselves forward like 6 years, 7 years, and we start going through life when our girls are graduated from high school and they're leaving and we're like changing, we're going to look back on this time and be like, I'm so glad that I actually stopped to reflect of like what I want and how I want to spend that time with my kids.
For sure. I think about that a lot. I think, that's really what has empowered after my spiritual awakening, but really stepping into the entrepreneurial space and having and creating that freedom to be present. I think for a lot of people, it can be very challenging to be present because they have to take into account all these other things. Like, how can I be more present? Right. What does that look like and feel like? To your point, autopilot becomes all they know. Right.
But you don't even realize you're doing it.
Yeah. No. And there is something about being like fully present versus being like physically there. Well, like you can physically be there and be monitoring what's going on, but not actually actively engaging. And
well, I think it's important. If this resonates with you right now and you're like, yes, I feel like I'm living on autopilot, but I don't even know what that means and I don't know how to stop it. You don't have to be someone else. You just have to simply be. You just have to be in that moment and allow yourself to feel whatever you're going to feel. Because I think a lot of times autopilot is about dampening down sensations that we don't necessarily want to feel. And it's much easier. We've created a way that we can go through our day and we can go through our life without having to feel these uncomfortable feelings.
Yes. And I think too, to that point, a lot of it's rooted in the ego. I was talking to a friend of ours yesterday and he has 2 boys. He's a single dad. And I was like, I said, did your company give you off today? And he's like, no. And I'm like, which is wild to me because like, in addition to the kids not having school, we also got so much snow that if you don't take a period of time to get yourself out of the snow, you're not going anywhere anyways. And also lunches and also distractions. It's like, this is what life is all about. It's not really about working and having your job and showing up and performing. It's like your kids. And even if you don't have kids, it's getting out. It's making sure that you're being fed. It's preparing for, right? Because we couldn't do anything on Sunday because that's when the snow actually descended. And so you have to wait for it to stop before you can actually do anything, and it was an interesting concept to just think about. Like,
Charles.
Well, we attempted to get out and we did. I had laid tarps down by all the doors because our dog, she's an English bulldog, so her legs are not very long and she's blind. So like the snow is it's not like a fun place for her. It stresses her out.
Struggling.
Stresses her out. And so we did get out a few times just to lift the tarps up and give her a little bit of space so she could do her business. But like, it was challenging because even when you started shoveling, you'd turn around and it was already covered again. Like it was like, okie dokie. So, but anyways, I think just from a society standpoint too, we don't do a good job of shutting down completely. It's like, oh, well, you have the option to work from home because you have the internet. And thankfully, nobody in my community lost power, which could have been catastrophic had anybody actually lost power with these temperatures. But it's like, dude, doesn't always need to be about the bottom line all the time. Like it's
100%.
We live in a country that just, our priorities are, in my opinion, whack. Okay, I'm just going to go on mute one more time.
Is she getting another call? What do we think is happening? It might be. This is your dance break, everyone. Well, Rachel. If you guys can't tell, I'm struggling with a little bit of a cold situation here, which is why I keep muting myself, because things are happening over here in this head. So I feel okay, mostly. Last night I felt a little rough, but here we are.
I don't know. I couldn't connect with them, but I'm sure Isla tried to call me, and then Graham said, don't do it. Maybe. Hold on.
Maybe.
Okay. Anyways. So yeah, I don't see this week also changing pivot. I think we are going to remain in the pivot for at least the rest of this week.
Right.
And then we will be up in your neck of the woods, but you will not be there.
Are you up here this weekend?
Yeah, the NA tournament's this weekend.
No.
So.
What, are you here both days, Saturday and Sunday?
I think just Saturday. I'd have to look at the calendar again, but this is the day that I am actually working the concession stand, is this Saturday. So but, I don't know what time.
But not at Peters?
No. Yeah, I'm working at Peters, the concession stand, for the Whitbeals. But the rec program will be up at NA. So
gotcha.
Anyways, okay. So let's talk a little bit about like what's upcoming. Maybe can we share our screen at all on these? I was thinking it would be cool if we could like showcase our Patreon a little bit, or at least talk a little bit about it in more detail. Because usually on the podcast, we just do it at the very end. But we don't go into detail about what content's actually on there and like the benefit of joining the Patreon.
Let's see what our daily affirmation is, shall we? One thing that's really important to Rachel and I is that we don't bombard you with stuff. So you get an email at 7 a.m. every morning. That is a daily affirmation. And this is whether you are in the free membership zone or if you are in the pay what you can membership zone. And as somebody who does intuitive tarot readings and taps into her intuition a lot, I feel like when I wrote these for January, they were written so long ago, and they just resonate so deeply every day when I open it and look at it. I'm always amazed. And today's is my intuition strengthens every time I honor it.
Yes.
I mean,
and it's beautiful and it's true. It's interesting you said that though, about how we write these things and we prepare these things and then we kind of forget about them. And then they always kind of hit because I don't know if you saw, but I was posting some clips, some shorts from one of our last lives that we did with Kim. And that was a fun episode. We had a guest on who she does a lot in the metaphysical space, but we had her on to specifically talk about the Akashic records. And she had a situation come up yesterday in her own like personal day-to-day. And I had posted a clip about karmic debt and how she had been talking about karmic debt. And it like hit for her on such a deep level. I don't know if you saw any of her interactions with us on socials, but she was like, oh my God, I needed this so bad. I forgot about this, because she basically had a situation come up. It comes up, I don't want to say super often with her, but there is work that the universe is giving her to work through. And her kids were getting like ganged up on at like a park. These like older boys wanted to, I guess, engage with her younger son with like snowballs and like bullying and stuff like that. And she like showed up. She was there. She was just in the van watching. And needless to say, Mama Bear came out pretty good. And it was one of those things too, where it's very triggering for her. She gets very reactive to these types of situations. And it like spun it on its head to like reflect back to her, to be like, what karmic debt are you creating, Kim? You know, like, how do you handle situations in those moments where it's not right, it's not okay, but like, how do you do it? How do you have that conversation or communicate with the other party in a way that is also appropriate and helpful and giving them an opportunity to right their wrong instead of, you know, taking everything in and like exploding.
Right.
So because I thought that was interesting too.
It is. And it's, you know, kind of similarly to this in affirmation about intuition. It is like a daily practice of self-trust. And when you can have moments like that where you can trust in how you're going to respond to a situation, it just builds more confidence within you to feel like you are really truly honoring who you are, and not allowing yourself to be pushed into being somebody else because that's what's expected, or that's what your default is, or that's what you're, you know.
Yes.
Like, how many people, and like this can go the same way with like astrologically saying, oh, I'm just a this, so I'm this way. Or like, I know people that say, oh, this like, I'm from this family, we're just big drinkers, or I'm just, you know, like, you know, I'm just fight somebody because that's like what we do. You know what I mean? Like, you've been around that energy before. And it's the same thing. Like, if you don't allow yourself those moments of daily trust to honor yourself in like a very authentic, true way, rather than feeling like you have to show up however that looks like for the person, right? And then it snowballs from there. But it can also snowball the other direction when we start to honor ourselves and start to remember that, you know, everything doesn't have to be dealt with fire, right?
Yep. And it's interesting too, when you lay down your piece about things and you find that you're getting like super triggered about something, and then you choose to respond differently to it and what that experience is. And I think that that's such a cool experiment to actively try to do. The other thing about yesterday too was, and I saw this on, Naisha had posted about this too, is yesterday was a portal day too, because it was 1/26/26.
Right.
And the other thing I think that is a helpful tool that, you know, they always say you are what you eat, but you are what you see and what you surround yourself with. So we try, because of our job, because of the podcast platform, social media really is a non-negotiable. It is part of the environment in which we live. We have a technologically based product. And so when we have to be on socials, I try, and I'm sure you're similar, to really make my algorithm be supportive of the work that we're doing. So like we follow similar accounts. We follow people that have messages of hope and love and trust. And I would encourage you to also do the same, that, you know, when you get that daily affirmation, the whole point is, yes, for you to read it, for you to absorb it, for you to think about it, but you can also journal it. You can also use it in a repost on your own page. You can use it as a comment to somebody. You could copy it and text it to 3 people in your inner circle and just say, message of the day. Like, there's a lot that you are able to take from this content and put it to good use. So we don't want you to just do nothing with it. You know, we want you to absorb it and to use it to your advantage and to help shape the day that you have ahead of you. So
I'm gonna share it on our stories for people today. The affirmation. Feel free to screenshot that and share it with a friend. You know, these things show up when they need to show up for people.
For sure.
And you know, I love sharing things like this through social media. That is one of the parts of social media that's so great, is being able to share something funny or something kind, or something that I feel like would be beneficial, right? Like, ooh, you love to cook. Look at this, like, you know, cooking thing, whatever. Yep. So I will put that up on our socials today. So everybody has access to that, even if they haven't gotten on Patreon. And I'll also link the Patreon. So,
all right. Well, with that, it is time for us to move on to the next thing we have on our plate, which is remote learning. So,
and then we have a big guest that we're recording later this afternoon. So
yes, very excited about this.
See that episode in February on numbers.
Yeah, numerology, numbers. Naturally, Krystyn and I are not experts in this space, but we did find a kick-ass expert, and we are pumped.
Yeah.
To have our numbers read and also talk about this upcoming year, talk about numerology, just like base level knowledge. So everybody, if you guys are like us, that you're like, what is numerology? How do I use it? You know, then join us. I'm very excited about that. So, all right. Well, we love you guys. Thanks for allowing our pivot to take place. And we will see you next month. And hopefully our asses will be together.
Yes.
Together. And we can interact live with you guys.
All right, guys. Love you. Thank you so much.